This is reposted.
Hello there, Andrew. Nobody loves a good Disney sing-along more than you do.
That's true.
So today's topic is very appropriate. It comes from Walt Disney himself, who said, when you're curious, you find lots of interesting things to do. Andrew Keller, are you curious?
I am. I love this because I think of pretty much anything I started doing was because I was curious about it. I mean, if you don't have curiosity, you're going to keep doing the same things. It's going to be monotonous. I found a pogo stick and I was like, what's this about? I was curious. I figured out how to jump on it. I've eaten things that are delicious, and rather than saying, hey, can you make this for me again? I say, hey, how do you make it? And then I become a better cook and I can make things for myself. So
We
I
might,
think
we
it
might,
applies to everything.
we might be splitting hairs here,
Okay.
but I don't know if I would describe you as curious more than you're willing to try anything.
Okay. That does sound like splitting hairs. Can you
So
further into
you
that?
said that's the same thing. I just feel like you're willing to meet with anybody, do anything, go anywhere, try any food once. Is
Okay.
that different than curious? You're just willing to experience things.
Right, but I think there's an underlying curiosity that has that. I mean,
Yeah, for
I'll
sure.
concede that I'm not curious if there's a definition of it that I'm not getting. Do you consider yourself to be curious? I feel like you're a professional question asker, so you have to be.
I'm definitely very curious. When this quote came up, I thought of probably the fourth date that I went on with Karen. I used to work for a radio station. They would send me out to meet people at these events, kind of thing. And I was with Karen. We didn't know each other that long. A guy walks up and he says that he recently located the area. He's in the Navy. I said, what do you do in the Navy? And he said, I work on the aircraft carrier. And I just couldn't believe that this is like 20 years ago that I get to ask a guy about it. I'd never known anybody that's been on an aircraft carrier. Like, how do you get food? Does anybody ever fall off? Do you ever hit your head on those porticos? Like, I just went question. I could see my wife's eyes just completely glass over, like, this is boring. Or I was like fascinated about a guy who lived on an aircraft carrier. And that happens a lot when we go, me and my wife go do things. She just doesn't care about, oh my gosh, this guy lives on an aircraft carrier. And I have to just go, like, maybe I'm the crazy one, because I always think it's fun to talk to people that have crazy jobs.
I've noticed that every time I've been with you and we've met someone new, they've been in the Navy and they've worked on an aircraft carrier. So it does really happen a lot.
I hang out with a lot of navalians.
Do you think that's something? I think I know the answer, but is that something you want to teach your kids? The curiosity? I feel like that's something.
You know, I'm baffled about curiosity because, so like, for instance, Uncle Kirk, who oftentimes will make an appearance on the show, did you know him when he would go to Africa for a month on and then come back? Or was
I
that
knew him at the tail end of that.
Yeah. So he used to go to Africa for a month like a fireman and work on an oil rig. And he would come back and I'd be like, oh my gosh, you worked on an oil rig, and like, just, I wanted to know all about his job, right? Whereas a lot of people, most people don't care. They're like, oh, you work on an oil rig? How's that? And he usually goes like, yeah, it's all right. I got dinner. And then the question moves on. I'm almost to the point where you either are curious or you're not. Because I've run into so many of these circumstances, people could care less that someone worked on an oil rig, like, whatever.
Well, I think also curiosity, and maybe you tell me if I'm defining it wrong, is behind a lot of awesome things. Like the first time someone was like, what if I put peanut butter with chocolate? And then you just try it and you find out. And I guess, like you're saying, that's a willingness to try things. And maybe you have to have both. Like you can be curious, but not willing to find out what happens next. I think it's one of the most important things to have a fulfilling life.
I mean, I know that we're totally on agreements on that. And they always say, like, kids are curious, adults lose that. And that's true, right? Because my kids are willing to ask anything. I think it's just that we become jaded as we go on, right? We just think, like, who cares that the earth revolves around the sun? You know, we kind of just, we have too much to worry about. And we go, like, I don't care about that. We lose our curiosity.
Yeah, and I think there's a point through growing up where you're too cool to like stand out. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's stupid," and I think that can get beaten out of you. But I think, I don't know. I think curiosity is one of the most important things you can have.
Well, and I think for mankind, right? And I hate to use this example, but I will. Christopher Columbus, he just said, "Hey, what if I sail the exact opposite way that everybody, like, what would happen if I just sailed that way? They think I'm going to fall off the earth. I'll just find out, right? That's like pure curiosity right there.
What's it like working in a radio booth? Is it exciting? Do you get scared sometimes because you're isolated?
I get scared often. I wish you were there to hold my hand. Now I'm in the closet.
Oh my goodness, there's so many different things happening in your life. If you guys are curious about anything, please reach out. You can find us at Reposted Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm Andrew Keller for Ariel saying thanks for stopping by.